Hey, how's it going? That's a mashup.
Yeah.
I put your song, Andrea, on Jake's video. I hope
Driving. I hope it's an electric car.
I don't know how to drive. I
it
just
looked
want
like an 8-bit car, which I think is electric or video. It's a video car. But anyway,
Video car.
it's
Hi.
Matt, Sandy, and Andrea. How are you guys? I should tell everyone. Jake's
Yeah,
internet's
Jake's not
out.
here. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Jake.
I wanna take the lead on this one. So we set this whole thing up. We're gonna do a live stream show. And
Jake.
because well, I'm talking about first episode, right?
Okay.
So we're starting at the first episode, and then at the end of that, we're like, next week, this character up here has to go do some fucking shit. Who knows what the fuck's going on? Probably something illegal, if we're gonna be honest. I mean, it's very possibly illegal. But that's whatever. I mean, I don't mind breaking the law. So we decided to do a pre-tape this week. By we, I mean they. I was not a part of that decision making whatsoever. I'm just showing up. And Jake was like, "Yeah, I'll be here." Yeah. And we were originally going to pretend that his internet went out. It didn't go out. He's just not here. So I just wanted to throw that. It may have gone out at some point in time, but that has nothing to do with his explanation or lack of an explanation as to why he is not here right now.
He's like the Larry David of this show, where everyone's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "My internet went out. I got to stay home. Sorry,
Larry David
can't-
mixed.
I don't
with
think that's
Mr.
true.
Rogers.
not allowed to have obligations." Yeah,
I'm gonna say,
Mr. Rogers
we
meets
start-
Larry David. I love
yeah,
that.
I love
We
it
start a
because
nickname
it's
Jake the Flake on this,
Oh,
on
no,
this
no,
week's show.
no.
That's gonna.
No.
So-
He may jump in,
It's very possible he'll jump in.
and then we'll have
I
to
wouldn't
edit.
put my money on it though. I wouldn't. I would not.
Awesome.
I would not put my money on it though.
Once
But,
Andrea starts a shtick about you, it will never go away.
No.
I
It
don't
will
know if
always
that's
be
true.
there. Oh, it's true.
Well, then Jake's claim to fame.
Yeah.
My hair is a
Second
fucking
episode.
nightmare. By the way, has anyone
Badge
seen
of
this
honor.
shit? Like, look at this. Like, I'm a fucking
Oh, it's great.
no, no.
Doesn't look bright white. Like, look, do you?
I
These
am
bright
excited
white
to have
areas?
white hair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited. Like, I'm about to like dye my hair white. I'm that excited. Like,
You can literally. There's
Yeah,
all kinds
you
of
can go
crap out
platinum.
there now.
yeah.
More chemicals, the better, right?
I prefer to be naturally white because then it's just like I get to tell people, yeah, that's right. I'm so stressed. I went white in my 30s, you know?
Yeah, it would be better if it would just all go that way instead of this. Like, well,
Oh,
some of it's
no.
going to be brown forever, and then it
I
just
like
starts to
that.
look
Yeah,
like.
I'm in. Sign me up.
Sometimes I catch my reflection. It's as if I have a
Yeah.
toupee on, which nothing wrong with that, but I don't. So I don't want to look like
Stop.
it.
That's the headset. Stop.
No, I mean in the real world. I don't wear
Real
this headset
world.
out.
I know, right? In the real world.
I do. This is how I keep
Hey,
my
I
got
ears safe
something
from COVID
different now.
infection.
I got something different now. I'm not wearing that big
Oh,
old
whoa.
thing. I treated
Oh, yeah.
myself with money I don't have, but it feels good.
all right. Send me a link because these things get really warm.
Oh, really?
Send me a
Yours get
link.
warm?
I'd like to look into whatever and give me a review. Like wait a
Sure.
couple weeks if they start to not be so great. Don't
Sure.
send me the link.
No, I like them. They're a lot better than the $15 ones I had. Okay. So we're not here for technical reviews today.
Yeah, we're here for whatever. But so
Yeah.
this is our second episode, and one day, like not even 24 hours after our first episode, I saw this.
Oh no.
This is on the Rational Nationals channel.
I just
Right.
want to say this is Matt being an instigator. I had nothing to do with this. This is probably just Matt's alt
mean,
accounts, if anything. I don't know how
I
many
didn't-
alt accounts do you have, really?
Well, Matt is not an actual cloud. We know an actual cloud, Andrea.
I don't
Yeah.
know anything about clouds. I don't know about water vapor.
I think this was funny. Already watched Left Past 10. Do I need to watch this? Yes, and I think the honest answer is of course. First of
course.
all, these collaborations are awesome. I wish there were more. I would love to like tune in and then start having crossover events. I think this is really cool. And we've had exactly one show. Like
One big
chill. But anyway,
I just want to say, isn't it curious? Like, we have these two instigating comments. Let's be honest, no one looked at them except for Matt. Very coincidentally,
They
saw
were
these
doing Popular show.
because he posted them on his alt accounts. So I had nothing to do with this. I would
Andrea,
never
you're
even
tough.
watch the Leftist Mafia, let alone post a comment on their show.
Well,
So
Andrea, do you watch anything on YouTube?
I've been on a YouTube break for a while, to be
Yeah.
honest. So
So what
all right,
is
we're
this?
talking about Saw 6.
What is this image we're looking at? What is this?
We're going
I don't
movies.
know. It's something.
So Halloween times, I do watch scary movies, but this is not a scary movie. This is a gross movie. I tried.
Mhm.
I was
How
like, all
far did you
right.
get?
Oh,
I didn't finish the first, or the woman from the first scene was in the hospital saying, "Look at my arm," and I was like, you know what? I don't want to look at your arm, and I just turned it off. I
So
couldn't
we
because
just
I
have
knew.
to, yeah, we just
I
have to
actually
point out.
I skipped ahead and it was like,
Okay.
oh no, more, and I had to turn it off.
yeah, but you have to
So-
look at it like a special effects. Those makeup people and the
They work so
amazing
hard for
work.
this.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
I look at it.
Well, it's the sixth movie, so I'm sure they're doing fine, right?
Well, okay, let me give you the plot
Lots
synopsis
fine.
here because
Okay.
this is like horror marathon for the Halloween heads meets like left-wing politics, because this whole movie, if Matt were to have watched it, he may have found value, because the whole movie is about torturing health insurance executives to death in the most brutal ways imaginable.
Oh boy.
And so basically the plot synopsis is you have the main character who's John Kramer, also known as Tobin Bell. By the way, Tobin Bell has a music channel. He sings like country songs on YouTube, so go look him up. Anyway, so like he's dead. He died in the third movie, and this is the sixth movie, right? So the whole point of the 4 through 6 is that he's killing people from the grave with his accomplices, right?
How?
Mhm.
Oh, accomplices.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he leaves messages and his accomplices set up the
Gosh.
traps for him.
Networking.
Exactly, I know, right? And so this
Bravo.
guy, he died of cancer. And when he got cancer, he tried to get his health insurance company to like pay for treatment. They said no. And then he accused them of like, signing his death sentence or whatever.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was
he
pretty
died
good.
in Saw 3. So this is him haunting the health insurance executives from the grave. And it's great. I don't. Sandy, you watched the movie, right?
Oh,
like
yeah, I watched
Oof.
2 of them because you
two of
said
them.
it
I
was a
did not.
serious, and then I started researching the whole thing and how much they've made, and it's interesting.
Have they made a lot?
Oh, $1 billion from box office and retail sales, the whole series. So they may hate the health insurance industry, but they sure don't hate the movie industry.
Well,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Although
And you
I
gotta
think
have
those
insurance.
jobs are much more creative.
I did see a scene where there was a guy, I think they were letting him go, and he's like, wait, I've been paying into this program for 20 years,
Mhm.
and now I get sick, and you're letting me go. And the guy on the other side of the desk is like, I don't make the rules.
yeah, that's the guy who
It
gets
was like-
killed. Yeah, he gets
Yeah.
tortured to death in the most brutal way imaginable. Where like I think it's hydrofluoric acid gets injected into his body and he melts from the inside. It's pretty great.
Oh
You
my
should have watched it.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
really gross, but amazing special effects and work put into
I
this.
think the older I get, the more I'm just weak stomach. I can't do it. Like maybe if it were like a 20-minute short film, I could have hung on, but
I thought of Andrea the whole time.
so what's this image we're looking at? Is this supposed to be a bunny rabbit? Was this an Easter movie?
No, I think this is just like some like the
One of the
posters are just
gadgets.
nonsense like cool props that they have that they want to show
Oh.
off in the poster. Like
Or
it
it's one
doesn't
of the
really have much.
torture. It's a torture device.
This looks like
Well, yeah,
over
but-
complicated limb loppers or something.
Yeah.
Like,
It's something. It may be a neck. I'm not sure. I don't know.
does it get like a human thing?
Well, it's supposed to be the VI. That's what it's. That's,
Oh,
Yeah. It's
Yeah?
The
I didn't
six.
even see it.
no.
I just
It's
saw
a
the eyes
six.
looking at me, and those aren't eyes.
No, those are the push things on the metal, but that's still, yeah, it's the 6. It's
saw
pretty
one-
creative, Matt.
I saw one movie poster. It looked like a pair of shoes laying on the floor, but like the end of the shoes were actual toes.
Ugh.
Okay.
It's like, oh my God. For this movie, like, is that a thing? Are they like making people's feet into shoes? That just seems like
I mean, they could. It's probably deleted scene. I'm sure that they
who
made
is
someone's.
coming up with is one person writing all these films?
Well, it's created by James Wan and Lee Wanell, and it was started actually in 2004. So it's been on there for a long time. Their first one was October 29th, so we're almost to the anniversary of their first film. And it was a screenplay by Lee Hwanell, who's Australian.
Well, I know James Wan's gone on to do a lot of things like
Mhm.
Aquaman and the
Yeah, very
sequel and
famous.
Insidious and okay, well, he's
Oh, yeah, well, Saw 1, I mean, I'm going to do a whole. I watched every single movie, including the new one. So I'm going to do a whole video on the entire Saw franchise. Subscribe to my channel, everybody.
do
That's
it
my Halloween special.
above
So
it
there's
all.
that's the pre-announcement. Um, but yeah, Saw 1 is a masterpiece. Like, even if if you find Saw 6 gross, you will not find Saw 1 gross. Like, Saw 1 is more of like the psychological, like, you're like, it's more the horror is like imagining what they could do,
Mhm.
right? Because it's an indie film, right? So like they didn't have the budget for intense special effects. But by the time they got to the sixth one, yeah, it's about torturing morally bankrupt people. And I should still go back to talking about Saw 6 here. And you can like put our faces back up. We don't have to
Oh,
have the
sure.
poster up the
Sorry.
whole time.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Thank you, Andrea.
Sorry.
But yeah, like so like again, this is the synthesis here. We have horror movies and hating health insurance executives, right? So like in the first few films, the Jigsaw killer, he's a little morally questionable. He's just kind of killing people for what he considers to be like some degeneracy. He hates drug users. That's one area I disagree with the Jigsaw killer. I love drug users. So if
It's
you're
like
a
a
drug
puppet.
user,
Does he use a puppet?
he has a puppet
So what's the origins of why a puppet?
because it's cool.
Because it's supposed to just be like, I don't want him to see me. I'll use a
Yeah, pretty
puppet
much.
instead of
It's
just a
the
mask.
thing about the Saw movies is the rule of cool. Like they just do a lot of shit for no reason just because it's fucking cool. Like that's it. Like if you're
So that
asking
we're
why
like,
is
why
this in
are
the
they
movie,
doing it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking awesome. But yeah,
Okay.
so in Saw 5, I believe it was 5 where they had like a slight transition on the writing team. I'm not. It might have been 6, but 5 they kill like
David
retail and
Yeah.
corrupt politicians in 5. Those are the main bad guys. Is like real estate motherfuckers and like big business and corrupt politicians. And then in 6, they're like, all right, we're gonna take down the health insurance industry.
Yeah.
And again, I loved it because like the twist ending, which Matt doesn't know because he's a little spineless little, he can't watch movies. I don't know.
Better things to
Can you go
do.
on Wikipedia and just read the plot
I
synopsis?
didn't.
Like is that the least you can? But the twist ending
Hey, you guys
is
got it.
really great because it makes it look like the health insurance guy is like playing a game and he's going to survive at the end. And then it turns out he's not going to survive at the end. Spoiler, go watch the movie. Because the family of the guy who he rejected, you were mentioning, Matt, like he rejected some guy. Turns out that guy died, and the family is now the executioner, and they decide whether or not to kill the health insurance guy, and they say yes, right? So fuck that guy, fuck him, and then the whole movie is just like all the rest of them, like they have like the whole office, torturing to death. Like there's the one where like the shotgun blows their fucking heads off. I love
Oh
that
my
one.
God.
I mean, it's just great to watch terrible people get like, dismembered limb from limb in a fictional
Of course.
setting. I love fiction. I
Even fictional, I'd just rather hear that it happened and not have to like sit there in real time. It felt like real
Okay.
time.
It's a lot of time.
In
And it was
real
very
time,
real.
we really don't want this to happen. We want the health insurance industry to change,
I mean,
which
I
I
felt
have
like I
quite a
watched
lot
every
of experience with. But I did like the premise because I do. That was my background was HR, and I had to deal with health insurance companies. I had a team, but we dealt with health insurance companies for our employees all the time. And myself as a health insurance person being having health insurance, I've had to fight. So the movie resonated with frustration. Absolutely. And that's why we need Medicare for all. I'll give that a plug in the United
Yeah,
States.
there you go.
Yeah,
See?
there's my plug.
What was Andrea's favorite part was when the guy got injected. What was your favorite part, Sandy?
Mine? My favorite part really was the end. And I have to say it's only because of the special effects and how they made that guy's body so disgusting. These artists are just incredible, and like on The Walking Dead almost with all of the zombies. I loved The Walking Dead. So I guess I do like this kind of genre of movie. I feel like real life is this kind of genre lately. It's sad though. That's the sad part. But that was my favorite because he didn't make it.
Yeah, fuck that guy. God, like watching his like fucking body melt is just like, ooh.
I mean, I've seen stuff like that, and it's like, oh, cool. Did you see that? Let's watch it again. But when it comes to these movies, it's like they're really trying to make it feel like you're in the room with them,
Yeah.
and I don't. And I'm also one of those people where it's like, okay, either one, die, or two, cut your arm off. I'm not cutting my arm off.
I want to ask a question. What
I've
kind of
made my peace.
yeah, right? What kind of screens do you watch this on?
Me, I have a
Technologically
giant TV.
that might be what the I watch
Yeah.
on a 30, what is it, 32-inch. That's the screen I have. It was like $80, 32-inch. So I don't see maybe what you're seeing as specifically as you are. Maybe that's
maybe.
has something to do with it is the visual. I don't know.
I will
Maybe.
tell you, I look away sometimes. It's a little gross. Just throwing that out there.
I looked
It's okay.
away.
Yeah.
I was like, click.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
Looking
this
away.
motherfucker, like, I mean, at least, Jake had the courtesy of not showing up. Letterhack didn't do the homework and decided to show up anyway. Like, this is like, like when you're in high school, all right, everyone, pass up your homework, and you're just like,
I could BS my way through a review of Saw.
You could?
I
All
could
right, let's
say,
hear it.
yeah, I could say, when given dire options, choices must be made. Blood will be spilled. Limbs will be lost.
You
Are
got
you
it.
reading the poster?
He's so
No, I'm just
creative.
making this up.
Okay.
And it's like,
That's
what's his
great.
name? Jigsaw is back again. Or
Oh,
is
He's not
he?
actually back. He died in the third movie.
Or is he?
Or is
It
he?
could
He's
just
definitely
be.
not back. He's dead.
I don't know. I keep
I'm
waiting for
here
something.
to tell you.
So nothing paranormal happens in these.
No.
No, it's really the sociological message.
I've heard people analyze certain scenes and they're like, here's how they could have got out of it without.
Well, yeah, they could have gotten out
Yeah.
of it by not being little fucking betas and just
No,
like
but,
actually
like,
doing the game.
It's like, I don't know. There was like either cut your saw off so that you, or cut your saw off, cut your arm off so you can get to the phone. And it's like, why didn't they just use the saw to drag the phone over and make a call? So like I've seen little things like that over the years, and I think that was for Saw. I don't know, but
You
my
don't know
thing is,
much, it seems, for this review.
but my thing is like, there's
Look at
enough
this
pain in the
cool
world.
pose. Look at me. Yeah, man.
This is how
like,
I sit.
Like, I
This
don't
is
even.
this is my elbow hurts so bad that
Oh.
if I sit like this, it doesn't hurt. That's why
Oh,
I sit like
jeez.
this in every interview. I don't know if
Getting
you've
old
noticed.
sucks, doesn't it?
Why is your
I ha-
elbow hurt
Can
so
I
much?
show my shirt for My Dogs Are Goth?
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my. See how I am old. I'm wearing a back brace to sit. All right. Assuming I am just an old lady is your first mistake.
That's great.
Okay.
I
there
like
you
that
go.
shirt.
I wore it for My Dogs Are Goth.
What
I
is
got
that?
new.
Assuming I'm an old lady was
My
your
dog-
first mistake. My Dogs Are Goth. She's
Yeah.
terrific.
Regular viewer.
Yep. And she
Okay.
comes to mostly all our shows now, and I like it.
Excellent.
I don't need millions of people. I just like the quality. I've always said quality over quantity is
Oh yeah,
immeasurable.
definitely.
So
I mean,
that was-
both. I mean, I'm an expert in both quantity and quality. They're all right. They're both pretty good.
Well, we all
Well,
want our messages to get out there. I mean, that's why we
yeah,
are
I
all
mean, you
social
can't have
media.
one
That's why we're all
without the other.
doing this. We're creators for some reason, educators, creators.
I started doing this shit when I was a teenager. I don't know why I'm here.
That's
Well.
it's amazing.
It's a lifestyle.
So I want to say one more thing when we get back to before we move on and about the franchise and the movie. It's a way, I suppose, if you are mentally healthy, to feel your emotions, get them out, watch it, experience it, but never act on something because you're seeing it on television. I don't know, is this, and I'm going to ask you, Andrea, is this the kind of movie that anybody would ever act on and say, well, gosh, I want to do violence?
I mean, Probably. I mean, I'm sure like most of these movies inspire some freaks to do stuff, you know. I don't
Yeah.
know about this one in particular, but
Some freaks, huh?
yeah, there's a
Good
lot of
I,
fucked
God.
up freaks out there.
There's a lot. I
I
have
like
met
how
many.
well, I like how at the very end of this movie they put up on the screen, call and write your local congressman and tell him we need Medicare for all. I thought that was a great message to end
Yeah.
with.
That's the message.
And like the way it was written on that severed leg in
Yeah, it was
blood,
like
I
tattooed
was
or
like, wow,
whatever.
so creative.
Yeah, well, that's good. When art mirrors a message like that,
Yeah, but this movie, what it came out in like 2009, I think. I mean, like, you know, it's a pretty
What?
subversive movie for 2009.
this one,
Wait, how many are there total?
There's 10. The 10th
yeah,
one came
there's a
out this
lot.
year.
Yeah, this was October 23rd, 2009. But in 2009, even though I was
Yeah.
in my career, I still thought the whole was bullshit. And
Obamacare was just coming around,
it
right?
was, and I was fighting with it with no, it was before. Yeah, maybe it was before. But I was arguing about this whole issue with my own staff. Some people who thought for-profit healthcare was the bee's knees. I don't. That's an old statement, by the
Like,
way.
is that like, I'm just like curious. Like, can we, like, you know, if like this is my own thing. Like, if I was ever in a like a decision making when it comes to the DSM, I would put like capitalism as a mental illness. Like, if you believe for profit anything is okay, that's like you have like a disease in your
Yeah.
brain, right? Like, is
I
that what that
just
is?
I just imagine whoever the profit's for, right? Like the health insurance guys in this case, when they hear people say the for profit is the way to go, I just imagine them going, "Can you believe they said that? Oh my god. Oh my god. They don't know. Idiots.
Idiots.
We're
But
winning and we're not even
yeah.
trying to hide it." You know what I mean? I just imagine them doing that in their fucking penthouses.
Well, that's the
Well, they're
thing is
not
that
all in
like
penthouses,
Americans are
but
so fucking dumb. You can convince them to do anything. Like I
mm,
like you literally like that's what I've learned in the last couple years. It's like you just dangle something in front of the average American dumb fuck and they're willing to like, you know, get a fucking flesh-eating virus, you know. They're willing to breathe in fucking formaldehyde and the fucking wildfire smoke. They're willing to like do all this crazy ass shit for Applebee's, you know, like at the like that's the light at the end of the tunnel. And oh, let's go to get a Big Mac, you know. I'm willing to kill myself for stupid shit.
Have you seen do you know who the Sacklers are?
yes.
Oh, I know about the
So
Sacklers.
Okay.
have you seen the series about them?
Hmm.
I forget what network it was on. I believe maybe I just watched it on like Hulu. I'm not sure, but um, there's a moment where they're all in their conference room, right? And they're like, we just got the verdict from the FDA and what kind of label they're going to put on the product, right? And it's a label that says it's not addictive. And they're sitting there
Oh
going,
God.
can you believe they said it's not addictive? And they're all like, because, you know, obviously it is. And the
Marketing.
FDA is going to let us say it's not. Oh my God. Can you believe how lucky we are?
Who'd they?
That's the moment I imagine like the healthcare industry
Oh,
has like hourly
Yeah, I
in
that's a
this
mean,
world.
really good point. That's a
that's
good
why we
point.
need a jigsaw to keep things a little even, you know?
Well,
So
Fictionally,
here's a
in a
question
fictional
for you
universe.
guys. So let's say, which is a dream, Medicare for all becomes real. What happens to all of the spin-off industries? There's a healthcare industry, there's benefits administrators, there are IT people that work, there are millions upon millions of people that are making their life out of all these spin-off. I saw it. I saw one health insurance company go into three, and then there's, support. There's so much. What do we do?
I have a great
make it
answer.
illegal.
I have a great answer. Okay, so oftentimes, you know, when you're in political spheres, right, and you talk about universal programs, you might hear, "How are you going to pay for it?"
Yeah.
Well, I have an answer to that question. Now, we already know Medicare for all is actually cheaper, but forget that, right? Because we got to figure out how we're going to pay for it. So we put everyone that's ever worked at a health insurance company in labor camps, right? We make them slaves, and that's how we pay for it, free labor. I don't know. You ever think they can make license plates, you know, whatever they do, you know, cook mac and
Okay, that's
cheese?
gonna work.
I think that that's a great way to pay for it. It's just put them all in labor camps and
Or a
make them work
universal
for free.
basic income transitionally.
I I mean, I think that, the IRS can smack anyone down at any time and go, "Hey, guess what? You owe this much money. We're docking your paycheck from now on. You're screwed." I think something punitive like that, I'm totally cool with that. But
To the workers?
no, to the executives. Or I mean, this is sort of like the issue is with capitalism in general. I think that you start to make certain things completely illegal. As long as we have a system of legal and illegal,
Hmm.
why is it always perfectly legal to make as much stinking money as you want? And like they would go after the mafia guys for like, oh, you didn't pay taxes, so we'll get you
Yeah.
that way. Well, these guys legally don't have to pay taxes. I don't understand. So I say start taxing people until they realize making money is not the way.
Or you can go back to the labor camp idea. I think that one's a winner. So I'm just
It,
saying.
it would be like it would prevent people from going there in the first place. You know what? I am thinking about Saul though. Like the puppet, I just don't get. Like I imagine this guy. What's the main guy's friend or name? Jigsaw.
John Kramer.
John
Okay, I
Kramer.
imagine like Kramer's buddies. Like he's at the bar and they're like, Kramer, how's that torture scheme going that you had? That's been like a year, right? And he's like, I'm still working on the puppet. Paper
There's a
mache is
scene
like a
in one of them
bitch.
where
It's really hard.
he's actually like painting the puppet and everything in one of the movies. Fun fact, by the way, about John
Did that
Kramer.
not take longer than because all
I
these
think it took like 20
contraptions,
minutes. Yeah.
all
Like
those
he's just a
contraptions have to
superhero. Yeah. He
take
just like
so
he
much
works really
time.
fast. He takes a bunch of Adderall and he fucking gets really focused. But John Kramer, fun fact, played by Tobin Bell, who is a character actor who in the 1990s played a character because he's a character actor in the hit show Seinfeld, right? And he interacted with
Oh, yeah.
Kramer
That's
in
right, you were.
Seinfeld.
That's right.
And so
Why do you look
he's
familiar?
John Kramer, but also he interacted with Cosmo Kramer, and it's a connected universe.
He dressed up like the clown from the opera.
No, that's not him.
That wasn't the same guy?
No,
Wasn't he like a psycho in
that's not him.
Seinfeld?
That's not him. That's
Well,
somebody else.
so what role did he play in Seinfeld?
He's the record store owner. In that one episode,
Who's the guy who would just show up every now and then and they're like, oh,
The
I
cop?
can't remember. No, it's like some crazy guy that would show up and they'd all be like, it's him.
I
Get
forget
out.
who that guy is played by, but his
Yeah.
character name is Joe Davola.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
Yeah.
They're like, it's Joe Davolo.
Yeah, they got to get the hell out of there.
I just watched the 100th episode of Seinfeld, which is probably my all-time favorite. It's the clip episode.
Really,
they
that's
just
the
do a
one I skip
ton
almost
of
every
clips.
time.
Oh man, it's the way they clip all these things is so artful. They just give you like their favorite bits, not what they think the audience is gonna like the most. And a lot of times that's the same. But are you a Seinfeld fan, Sandy?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I watched the first run.
They said there was gonna be a reboot like last week. Did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
What?
So apparently,
No.
it's a rumor
That's
that
not real.
Seinfeld said something about it, and then
Geriatric home, Seinfeld.
well, they kind of already did it on.
They're going to do a
Curb Your
reboot
Enthusiasm.
from Jerusalem, and it's going to.
Well, so they asked Julia
Seinfeld
Louis
moved to
Dreyfus
Israel.
about it, and she said, "I don't know what the hell that guy's talking about. No one's talked to me about it." But then it's like, that's what you would say if you were sworn to secrecy. So, But did you see they did the reunion show on
Yeah,
Curb Your Enthusiasm?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. I got to watch that one again. That one's really good.
Yeah, it was good.
There's a lot of layers.
Yeah, usually they're with that show.
I still haven't heard from Jake. Can we all just agree we missed Jake?
Yes, I miss Jake. Yes, absolutely, Jake.
I'm not going to be bullied into agreeing with this. This is like when you
That's
go,
why
like
I
when you walk into a
proposed it.
building and they're like, please sign this paper. I don't know what this paper says. What am I signing? I want to read this thing first. Let me call my lawyer.
You don't agree to terms. You go to a website and you're like, oh, I can't wait for this, and they go like, just click here and agree to terms. You go, well,
Wait a second here.
back
What are these terms that I'm agreeing to?
Terms
Did you
and
read all that?
conditions.
I read some of it.
And conditions.
Are they all the same?
No, they're all very different.
Mm-hmm. And your lawyers have to go through them before you even
That's
publish them.
that's going to be Saw 11. Whoever authored the
Yeah.
terms and conditions for the
Policies.
web, for the internet, they're going to be
There's an
like,
idea.
one finger at a time or
Yeah.
something. Or I saw a movie where a show where a woman bit her own tongue off, and I said, not possible.
You don't think so?
She was in an interrogation. She said, I've said too much. And I was like, nah, couldn't do
Ugh.
that. Can't. Nobody can do
Now I'm
that.
gonna have to research that.
This motherfucker's like, nah.
You would have
no.
to not be able to feel it. There's no way. No one could do that. The pain, you would get to the pain and stop.
Like
You-
sawing your own arm off.
now I don't know, because after a while, I'm no expert, but after a while, do you even feel that? But like biting your tongue instantly is the worst thing. So just there's
Makes
no way.
sense.
And she spit it on the table, and I was like, bullshit. That doesn't work.
Like
You can't do
watching
that.
movies with this motherfucker is like, like anytime anything fictional shows
My
up,
wife
like this
hates
one.
it.
Oh wow, that guy's flying.
So
No,
somebody
not that.
else has noticed.
No, now I hate when people criticize like Superman and Batman stuff. They're like, that would never happen. I'm like, what? The flying and shooting rays out of his eyes, or the
Yeah,
part where
right.
he wears glasses and no one knows who he is. Like
That's why it's called fantasy.
but don't expect me to believe that person bit their tongue out. There's no that. Would
So
never-
Superman flying and wearing glasses, that's fine. Someone biting their tongue, I mean, that's never happened in the history of the
Yeah.
world. No one's ever bit their tongue in any
Oh, you
way.
know, I'll research it.
because in this show they go to great lengths to realistically explain some very wild science fiction, and then somebody just bites their tongue off. No, like you thoroughly explained some stuff that shouldn't make sense, but you got me like, oh, I could see maybe that is true. And then, are you looking it up?
Uh-huh.
Don't go to images.
Well, I don't know how to share.
But the show is called Bodies. It's on Netflix now. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful show. It's based on a comic book, and it's one of the best adaptations you'll see of a comic to like a show or a movie. It's fantastic.
Can you die if you bite through your tongue? Can you really kill yourself by biting your tongue? Bit tongue, healing time, treatment, and prevention. There's nothing that says people. Oh, tongue suicide. Did you know tongue suicide is a thing? A type of
No.
suicide primarily need to. Oh, jeez.
I don't believe
that
it.
Sounds like yeah. Well, this is the internet, hon. I'm looking it up on the internet.
I
Real
think-
quick, one thing about Google is Google recently decided to destroy their entire search engine
Have they?
because when
Yeah.
you type
Different.
something in, it will just switch what you said to like a brand advertisement.
I've
So,
seen
like,
that.
Yep. I don't know when they started this, but it's been reported on that like Google is essentially just it doesn't exist anymore. It's just an ad delivery service.
It's
Like if
so
you type
weird.
in like baby clothes, it'll like auto
Give you
correct to
the
like,
ads.
I don't know anything about clothes, so like Gap or something. Is that a brand? I
Johnson
don't
and
know.
Johnson. I don't know.
Yeah, like it'll just like fill in a gap, or it'll fill in it'll convert it to like a brand name. So like let's say Gap pays Google, and then Google will say like, oh, anyone who searches baby clothes, like
Mhm.
the internal search, like will say Gap clothes department for kids, right? But it won't show you that, but that's what it'll like, that's the stuff it'll show you. So all the
Right.
yeah, it's anyway, don't use Google.
I used Blaze because of you.
What is Blaze?
Wait, what's the oh,
the hell?
what's the-
Blaze?
Yeah.
Blaze
Blaze.
TV? What are you
no,
fucking
the
with
one
Glenn
that you
Beck?
told me. What do you use? I shut it down.
I use a keyboard.
No,
I have a
Andrea.
keyboard.
Andrea,
Oh.
the browser.
She disconnected her camera. That's
Oh.
awesome.
Sorry. Well,
That's
I did.
awesome.
I did, didn't I?
Andrea, okay, that's going on the bingo
Oh,
card.
she disconnected her camera.
Number
No,
one on the bingo
browser
card.
that Andrea uses Brave, not Blaze. Brave.
Is
That's
this
the-
fucking working?
Number one, Andrea calls the other host sheep.
Can you
Number
hear
two,
me?
Andrea disconnects her.
She's doing this.
Can
your
you hear
camera's-
me? Is this audible?
Yes,
We can hear you,
can.
can't
We
see
can
you.
hear you.
What the fuck?
It's Brave. The browser is Brave. Anyway,
Andrea's giving me so many TikTok clips. This is awesome. So we're gonna have to do a bingo card. Andrea calls the other host sheep. Andrea loses or disconnects her own equipment.
I thought you were saying I
Are you
did because
there?
oh no sound.
Why? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
we
don't
can
know
hear you.
why my webcam turned off. Like,
You
this is
pick,
not explained in any capacity.
you picked up your keyboard.
Yeah, and now my webcam doesn't work. Like, can
So
someone fucking explain this shit? Like,
you can come
does
back.
anyone like look at this? It's just not working. Like, it's non-functional.
Well, I'll tell you what. Andrea could be
That's
doing this,
awesome.
or it said no, whatever the message just told us on here. She actually could have problems. Maybe she's with Jake. they're,
Here we go.
they're having. There she
Hey,
is. She's
I don't
back.
know what that was about. That was not intentional whatsoever. Like, I fucking picked up my
nothing in life is.
and knocked my microphone down, which that happens all the time. And then the webcam turned off. Five.
Ain't technology grand?
It's a little early to be streaming. That's what
This is
I
when
would
I would
say.
normally stream, but I quit.
Hey, do you want to? I mean, we've been talking a lot about culture.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about more culture?
Mm-hmm.
No.
What? But
Cleveland, baby.
yeah. Okay. So here's an article that was shared with us by someone from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda shared this. Now check it out. I don't know much about Cleveland. Have you guys ever been there? I've never been there.
Well, yeah, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, hanging out
Oh,
in
that's
dumpy
right.
bars. Yeah, I had friends
Awesome.
there, so I rode my motorcycle with my girlfriends. That when I was riding with a bunch of girls,
Why not?
it was fun.
Like two of the most famous underground cartoonists and comics makers, R. Crumb and Harvey P. Carr, are from there.
Yeah, you said that.
Um, they're legends, and so like I think but it's sort of off my radar that Cleveland was such a art hub. Like there, I was looking into it just a little bit, and it's like, oh my gosh, pop art, abstract art. There's an amazing amount of art coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. So this article, did you want me to read this? I can read it if you want.
Sure. How long we're gonna go? But read it because
And
then
we
everybody
don't have to
knows.
read the whole thing. We can just sort of like skim, but
Yeah.
it makes a good point. So this is from coolcleveland.com, and I'll make sure to mention the author's name. First of all, these trash bags are charcoal
What?
and like white
Yeah.
pastel. I thought they were
Art.
photos.
Yep.
So like,
See, yeah.
I'm not gonna buy this. I wouldn't put a trash bag on my wall in my house, but like that's amazing. Like I think that's really well done. Um, art could be everywhere in Cleveland, but it's not. There's so much art that artists can't give it away. Cleveland artists occupy so much space they could fill 7 terminal towers. Creative triage is every living artist's blind spot, and it becomes their loved one's obligation when they die. So that's the point of this article is people are creating so much art that they can't move it. And then what do you do with it? And there's all these consequences afterwards, right? Downsizing an artist's creative accumulation over a lifetime rarely happens because they are constantly creating more new stuff. That stuff quickly multiplies, and artists have no long term plan, leaving it for others to resolve. So that's kind of like
This is
credit
so
card debt.
me. Like, is this a fucking blog about me?
It's kind of, I mean, there's a
Fuck.
lot of different things that are left for other people to resolve, but
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
not
one that I
wasting
hadn't
my
thought of.
life on the downswing. I'm leaving on a high note, Like,
I purge a lot. I throw a lot of stuff away. Of course, I mostly digital these days, but I've had the great fortune to visit. This is the author speaking. I've had the great fortune to visit hundreds of artist studios and collectors' homes. Art is in every closet, attic, basement, and under every bed. Stop looking under people's beds, lady.
that's a
Jeez.
little weird. I will throw that out there. It's a little strange.
She's like, do you mind if I look around? Uh, I've met families of deceased artists who rent storage units, second homes, barns, and buildings where the overflow is stored and the art's future is heartbreakingly grim. Galleries, museums, and auction houses are already packed and have similar capacity issues. During the pandemic, a surge in artistic production compacted this problem with a steady decline in art sales, particularly in this town, Cleveland,
I have
where
to
the
take a
art
break.
market has always been historically flat.
I
Sure,
have
yeah,
to take a break. I'll
go
be
for it.
right back. I have to
Okay,
get off here.
just like
Okay.
Well, I want to say real quick that first of all, the pandemic is still happening, so it's not in the
right.
past; it's still happening.
Mhm.
And this is like something I can speak to, because like I am stuck in my house. I refuse to leave. I'm not getting COVID. I made that decision 4 years ago. I'm not going to get it. I don't
Mhm.
care what fucking whatever, right? And this is the only thing I do is I just sit in my little room and I fucking, I make music, I make video games, I make YouTube videos, like, so like absolutely like this is like to me, like as someone who considers myself an artist, like, I don't mind there being a forever pandemic. Let everyone kill themselves, let everyone get infected with a deadly disease. I don't really give a shit. I'm just going to sit in my bedroom and make some cool stuff.
Mhm.
Um and you know what? I think that that's cool. I think that that's fun. And
There,
if that's a problem, like we have too much art, I think that's a good problem to have. So
what it made me think of that line about the pandemic compacted this problem. It made me think about the initial lockdowns when all of a sudden everyone was giving out art challenges online. And people were like, well, if I'm home all the time, I might as well create, I'll stop procrastinating because I literally have nothing else to do. And a lot of artists I know who typically make digital art were like, no, this will be a chance for me to get some supplemental income because, people were losing their jobs and they had rent due and all this. And so they would make traditional art because they were like, I can sell that, especially comics. But like everyone's in the same boat. No one has any extra cash to spend. So I can see how it would, compound the problem and make it worse. Everyone starts creating, they've got tons, especially if you're like, oh, my thing is to paint wall sized abstract art. Where are you going to put that?
you gotta fucking
Especially if,
go full Goya on that shit.
yeah. And then, like, exactly. Right. But, like, what if you die? Then what do we do with that? Could you see throwing away a family member's, like, wonderful art? Like, okay, maybe they're not world famous
I just
artists,
want to
but
say this: if I die unexpectedly, just turn anything I have into a museum. Just keep
well,
everything the same state that I die in, and then just sell tickets.
who's
Like you
in
want to go
charge
with
of
that?
this? Are you putting me in charge of it right
I
now?
am not putting you in charge. I will find someone else to put in charge.
Okay, because I'm pretty responsible. Like if I take on the challenge, I'll do it right. But
Well, the only reason I'm not putting you in charge is because, and I say this with all love and respect, I think you're gonna die before me. I think that's my,
no,
and I don't want to be
I'm
morbid here, but
I'm cursed to live forever because I'm one of these guys. It's like every day. It's like that was a good day. No, I could go anytime now. I'd be fine with it. So if there is a
anytime.
God, he's
Yeah.
like, buddy, you're gonna be the last one.
Oh, sounds
Well,
like
I'm planning on
almost some
living
heavy
until
stuff.
187. So
Oh,
Good for you.
exactly.
She's going to put
exactly,
herself in a chamber.
Yeah, I
that's
was
right.
gonna say 3 years of
We don't have
cryogenic.
that much time on the whole planet, Andrea, if we don't.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna
Oh,
be the
good point.
last one alive. I'm gonna write the books about how dumb humans were. Don't worry, I'm in charge. I got it.
So I missed quite a bit. You
No,
know
we
why I
actually.
had to leave?
Why?
Because someone was walking on my roof and I heard all this banging.
Oh, wow.
Do you just
I
normally have people walking on your roof? Is that a frequent
You
no.
live at the
occurrence?
North Pole?
No, I have to have a roof. And I'm putting a hunter green metal roof on my house. And he was out there doing something. Like,
No.
I heard
Well,
it. I'm freaking out. I'm like, what is this?
If
feel
I
free to
heard someone
check.
walking on my roof, I would get a shotgun and I would just shoot the ceiling. That's what I would
Well,
do.
I already knew, so it wasn't like I needed to get a shotgun and shoot the
Andrea has
ceiling,
like early
Andrea.
settler mentality about it.
Yeah, if no one's
She's
getting
like,
on my.
it's my
I'm
right.
standing my ground here. Like this is not a joke. I'm like that person that sits in the lawn chair in the front lawn. If someone even accidentally steps on a blade of grass that I own, I shoot their leg off. You know, like I'm not
If
fucking around
She
here.
should be the one doing these movies,
yeah,
writing,
right. If
directing.
somebody
If
is
someone wants
walking,
to fund my creative mind for movie
Yeah.
making, I am open at any time. The only thing I lack is money. I do have screenplays that I've written. I have stories that I've written. I've got ideas. If you want to fund my movie making, feel free. This is an open invitation for any benefactors. Thank
All
you.
right, there
I
you
could
go.
see like
You will get,
some.
by the way, just to be clear, you will get no creative control whatsoever. I
Okay.
refuse in any capacity at all to let money affect my vision. So just understand that if you're giving me money to make a movie, you get no say whatsoever. I'm not even going to take a phone call from you. I don't even want to accidentally have some like Inception ass shit. You're going to say nothing other than here's the paycheck. Have fun. That's it. Maybe we can talk after the
Good
film.
luck.
And their
Maybe.
name in
Yeah.
the credits.
No,
Good luck.
you don't. There is no credits because that's part of the movie. Is we're subverting
Mm.
expectations. There is no credits.
Well, I just think it would be a shame if a roofer was doing his job and then woke up chained up in your cellar and there was a hacksaw and a cell phone.
I have it
Okay,
all too.
let's get back to yeah. And then Andrew's got a little puppet. Hey, uh,
Oh my
it
god.
took me 6 months to make this puppet. Okay,
But it was
let's get
worth it.
back.
Real life drama.
Millennials just surpassed baby boomers as the largest generation on record. The boomer population in Cleveland is 25.2% and ranks 12th nationally. The Cleveland millennials grew 6%. This is a slightly older article, but these stats are always kind of a year or two back. Just in the last 3 years, the average age of an artist in the US is 40 years old and life expectancy on average is 77 years.
Just a reminder: life expectancy is catapulting in the downward direction in this country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is.
I think we've
Yeah,
gone
that's
down 4
rough.
years in the last 4 years or some shit. Like so, just throwing
That's
that
rough.
out there. You know,
In
have fun at
2020,
Applebee's.
In 2020, Art Basel, I don't know who that is, and the UBS Global Art Market, UBS is Union Banks of Switzerland, reported that high net worth millennials are now the fastest growing constituency of collectors at the top of the market. So they don't buy houses, they spend their money on art. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Spending more on art than any other demographic. This is all good data to meditate on, thinking about possible opportunities. Some say being able to live and work as an artist in Cleveland is a great honor. That many artists go about making art anyway, despite not getting esteemed awards or validation. I wholeheartedly back that. There is something heroic in being an artist there. Here, we achieve, we archive and access problem. Sorry, we have archive and access problem here. Does that read right?
Yes, Neanderthal writing.
We
We
have
have archive
archive
and
and
access
access
problem
problem
here,
here in
Cleveland.
Cleveland, and it creates a low valuation with limited appreciation of artists' work. We have full art at half price. What if we had a vehicle to drive this out into Cleveland instead of art being in storage or tossed into the trash? Now, I automatically thought about like, what if we had a truck to drive art around? When they say a vehicle
Hmm.
to drive, I just imagine somebody driving a truck being like, "Hey, we got extra art. You looking? Okay." And then they keep going.
But you have to put it in a public place. We'll give it to you, but you need to put
Yeah.
it in a public place for the
Art
good of all.
artists are not going to recycle their way out of this problem at any rate at the rate we are going. The art being produced barely grazes the tip of the iceberg of what is being shared beyond the artist studios, exhibiting venues, archives, and public spaces. One begins to imagine the landfill not just as a big inert dump, but as a giant living and breathing organism, a kind of Frankenstein monster which, properly contained and cared for, might contribute to the well being of others in Cleveland. Let's save the art. What do you think about that? Because then they go on to talk about the art barge from New York. Remember that? And or
Oh, the
not
garbage
remember, but
barge.
maybe you've
I
heard of it.
remember it. The garbage barge. It was a
Garbage
big
barge.
deal.
They
It
kept
was a
going into
huge
different
deal.
ports, like, will you
Hmm.
take our garbage? And they're like,
Uh-huh.
get out of here with that.
Well, then they decided to send it all to where I live in Western New York, rural America, where they
Well,
send all the garbage, solar
but
farms and
Sandy,
windmills.
if this is just Cleveland
Hmm.
and we're just talking about art, the problem is well out of hand already, right? Because let's say that they're just talking about paper that these artists use, or some sort of canvas, which I categorize as paper.
Okay.
What if it's not just art? It's got to be, there's, I mean, can we recycle our way out of this at all? Is recycling like
Mm.
a lost art
Recycling
form
is a
or a dead
scam.
art
Like,
form?
can we just mention that recycling is a scam? I think it's like only like 5%. And then I'm just to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't recycle, but I think
Yeah,
it's
it's like
like
you got
five
to do it, but
percent or something of like actually like if you anything in the recycling, like 5-ish% actually gets recycled. And what happens is these major corporations will put the recycling logo on their stuff, even though they know that it's not actually going to be recycled, because then they get to market it like, oh, look, we recycle, it's all this, right? So most, if not almost all of the recycling industry is just based around large corporations saying like, oh, look how great we are, even though like most of it doesn't even end up getting recycled.
Depends on what it is. Plastic is the big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Cardboard gets recycled, paper gets recycled because it really is used over. That there are industries that use this.
they reuse it.
Mm-hmm.
Plastic
But
is
paper
the
that has paint on
worst.
it, like acrylic or oil paints,
That's a little different. You're
yeah.
right. You're very right there. It is
So it's
because we don't even know what's in some of the paints. Can't be
yeah.
recycled.
Even when prestigious artists have someone with financial resources championing their work, like Andrea is hoping for,
Yeah.
many estates and legacy projects can't get off the ground. An example of this is the late Cleveland industrial designer Victor Schreckengost. Schreckengost?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Like, can
cool
I
name.
change my last name? Is Schreckengost available?
Yeah, yeah.
Like is
I don't think
like
you
that's
even
a
have to
cool
ask.
name.
I've
Yeah,
heard
holy
the
shit.
name. Yeah.
Schreckengost, who had an abundant influence on 20th century American life through his design of popular bicycles, pedal cars, toys, and dinnerware. He's like, you know what? These pedal cars are cool, but I'm going to do plates and forks. And
Yeah,
Holy
forks
shit.
are a lost art. Five
yeah,
times, 3 times, there's lots of debate.
following his death, even with countless attempts and institutional backing, a museum dedicated to his work never came to fruition. Despite Schreckengost winning the Presidential Medal of Honor at 100 years old by George W. And receiving the Cleveland Arts Prize from 1973, his work is still in limbo, sitting in boxes,
Oh, that is a shame.
unprotected
Oh,
and not seeing the light of day. Now, that's the worst. I foresee urban decay being overtaken by artists like on day one, right? Everything's falling apart. And then you walk into some shambles of a old retail outlet and it's like, oh, wow, somebody just put up a whole bunch of art on the walls in here. You know, everyone's painting everything. Like I can see that happening. But sitting in a box unprotected, no one's even doing anything with it,
well, multiply that, Matt,
sucks.
by every city like Cleveland, like Buffalo, like all of them. And the same thing is replicated, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
So we need a boom of art out in the open. Makes people feel better.
So they talk about how, there's some projects and stuff going on in Cleveland. We'll link up to this article so everyone can read it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm skipping around, but seeing that the millennials are surpassing the boomers and the environmental conditions are worsening, wouldn't this be a wise time to have these conversations and put into action a citywide arts program that can activate Cleveland art again? How can this surplus of art benefit the residents of Greater Cleveland and the memory and history of what could be remembered as New Cleveland School? Um, I they that's like one of the first things they do is take away funding for the arts, right?
Well, yeah, fuck the artists. Am I right, people?
Well,
But what do you think? I mean, is there hope?
Is there hope? Well, I'm here to tell you that there is no hope whatsoever. And that
Hopium.
should inspire you to create some pretty good art about how there's no hope. So have
There's
at
a
it.
whole genre right there, Andrea.
Yeah.
Hopeless
There's
art. Hopium art.
people from every neighborhood could have Cleveland made art in their life. Cleveland art again could be the West Side Market. collectors that support artists and want to downsize could bring their art there too. Do you think that Upcycle Part Shop threatens the Blick and Michael's Art Supply stores? So what they're talking about is making all kinds of like materials, supplies, and art available for people at like really low cost. And this is where like the big time brand names and retailers would be like, nope, make that illegal. We need people paying top dollar, right? Um, and they say, will Cleveland art again harm Cleveland's local art market? The answer is hell no. There is so much art out there and something for everyone to take home. A tweet responding to a Wall Street Journal story, local malls stuck in death spiral, plunge in value, caught my eye, said, take these empty malls and stuff them full of art. Dig all the deep cut, minor, and overlooked stuff out of storage and get it into rotation. Let 100 Dia beacons bloom. A reference to the New York Museum that pioneered the conversion of massive industrial buildings for the installation of contemporary art. Have either of you ever been to Dia
No?
in upstate New York? It was an
No, and I live in New York.
it was an old Nabisco box factory.
Really?
And not Nabisco, the box factory, the people that made the boxes, and they turned it into an art museum. But the way it works is one room is dedicated to an artist, so the room becomes the art. So like there was a room where they just dug a hole as deep as possible. And that was part of the art.
Did you go in the hole?
No, you would get so close that it was like that hole is either the bottom's either right there or way deeper. They wouldn't let you get close up. But then, there was all kinds of, that's just one example, but there were all kinds of things going on in there.
There's 6
And it
of
was really
them,
interesting.
Matt. 6 Dia.
Yeah. So they could, that's
Wow.
what these guys are saying is that it's going to waste. There's buildings in South Carolina that aren't owned by a bank. They're owned by the state collects property taxes. So if someone abandons it,
Yeah.
no one's there to resell it or hire somebody to fix it and resell it. The state doesn't care. They're like, yeah, we were getting like $900 a year. Who cares? Let it go. And so it just sits there and decays. But like we could be, I mean, here I am again saying, well, the state could pay people to, or the feds could pay people to house art and do museums and stuff. But I think it comes down to the community has to rise up. The community has to do it on their own.
Yeah,
right?
Fuck the state. Go into the abandoned building that you don't own and turn it into an art gallery and wait for the cops to show up.
That's how we did punk shows in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
It's exactly what we did. And the cops would show up and we'd be like, oh, we're not allowed to be here?
Shit, I didn't know.
You can't arrest us all.
Well,
but you can arrest Jim, and then everyone fucking runs.
And it can fund itself. Some of them are free, and these Dias. And the main one, there are tickets, but they're very reasonable. So that's how it could fund running. And it would be nice to see this be, totally self-sufficient, where it wouldn't have to rely on support.
Yeah, I like how they call a lot of these places meanwhile spaces. It says the opportunity for Cleveland to fill meanwhile spaces that are in transition right now from the pandemic with art, like vacant storefronts, floors of empty office and the historic buildings, is a no-brainer. So there's answers here. I think, and like I said, the article goes on to talk about like, some more what ifs or whatever. But I think that the key, and let me say the writer, Liz Moggins, is a Cleveland-based artist, mom of 3 great kids, and a social justice advocate and educator, a gallerist and curator. And so, again, we'll link up to the article. Check her stuff out. I think it poses a good question, and that it was brought to my attention by a viewer because it touches on, art, what to do with art in an environmental sense, but also in like a community aspect. And I think that using these so-called meanwhile spaces makes a lot of sense. But I wonder, I can't shake the question, if I had like a relative, and I do, who are making, they're way younger than me though, but they're making tons of art.
Mhm.
If something happened to them and they were like, Matt, it's up to you to figure out what to do with this art. And it was
You
like, well, I
just
don't have a
figured it out
room in
for
my
you.
house. I mean, could you bring yourself to throw away art or
I mean, throw
No.
it away, like, except not in a garbage can. Like, just go, like, walk through town with, like, a fucking shopping cart, and you just, like, hang up paintings on, like, the little overpass pillars, that you walk under. Just hang up a
Wow.
painting on a fucking telephone pole, just like, have fun with it. That's what I would do. Then you're going to have an article in the newspaper like random paintings show up stapled to telephone poles. No one knows what's going on. And then you can turn it into like a fucking ARG or something.
what's an ARG?
It's an augmented reality game.
Oh,
We used to call those happenings.
Okay.
happenings.
Do you know what a happening is?
Tell
It's
me.
happening.
Like one of the best ones was with the guy who played Kramer on this show called Fridays, where they
Lots of
pretended,
Kramers on this show, by the way.
yeah,
That's
they
3
Right.
Kramers.
they pretended to be outraged at each other for ruining a sketch. It was like a Saturday Night Live show, and they pretended to be like mad at each other. Then they're like, okay, we're going to a break, and then they come back and they're like, yeah, we faked it. It was a big thing in like the 70s and 80s. They called them happenings. People would get together
I
and
barely
just
remember.
like they'd say, okay, like 20 of us are going to get together in the town square and just look at something like, what is that? Until other people did it, and it's not really anything.
Gotcha.
That's
I
pretty
think
You know
it's
good.
what?
dumb.
I like
I
it.
think, yeah,
I like
I
it.
mean, sometimes it's funny on TV, but
I
But
think you can make that work.
art in turbulent times. I mean, here I'm going to get down to being the realist, but
go
art
ahead.
in turbulent times is something that will help people, and it can be educational, but help people transition, accept what the next stage that we are going through on the planet is. Just at least have a break,
No
and
one will accept that.
not social media though, Andrea. Not social media. Like we're talking about tangible art. I mean,
Yeah,
it sounds utopian in a way, but I like the article personally. I did.
I want my stuff given away.
You like the what?
The
The
article. I liked,
Article.
article?
yeah, I liked
Oh,
the arc. The art.
oh, we gotta write Liz Moggins right now and be like, you are missing out.
Yeah,
You
on
should
our
be
review.
you
Clip it.
should be rewording your articles
Art.
with capital ART hyphen.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm telling you,
Oh, and then
it
spell it
flows like water.
like tickles, like art tickles.
All
Yeah.
right.
Nah, step too far.
It's a little much. I didn't want to
Doesn't make
tell you
sense.
like live on it. I was going to tell you afterward that was a stinker of an idea, but I didn't want
Yeah.
to embarrass you in front of the
I'm
audience.
spitballing in real time. That's not a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it was a good article, and I think that it raises a good question about art that people don't. I wasn't thinking about that. I just was not. But I would like if all my stuff was given away for free. I'm all digital these days, but that's really my
Print
thing.
them all out. You got to create more fucking shit that you have to like give away.
I mean, you can buy my stuff, but for the most part, it's already out there for free.
I have a room in an antique store. Not a room anymore. I have just a glass cabinet, right?
Oh,
And I'm
cool.
selling shit because I'm trying to get rid of all my crap. It just sits there. I've been doing this for years. But there are artists that literally have all their stuff up. You buy their stuff. It's not expensive, but some of these antique malls and these little places also serve a purpose like that. People come to my tiny town just to go to all of them and not even always buy things, but to look at all of the stuff, the different things. So it's sort of in that vein. And using these malls, of course,
Yeah.
they need a lot of maintenance and they take a lot of electricity. And
It's
that would
okay.
be
It's
something
like,
you'd have to figure out.
well, let's use lanterns and candles and stuff like that. Screw electricity. And it's up to the artist to make it happen. And I'm not saying shell out cash,
Even
but
then,
like,
no lights. If it's dark, you don't get to see it. That's part of the art.
Yeah.
Just-
Okay.
yeah.
Safety. People
Or
are
like the
weird.
fucking the mall has like a fucking window in the ceiling and then the moon shines in the right spot and then boom, that's where the secret fucking passageway is.
I think that's awesome. But I do think it's up to the artist to take control here. And this is really just another example of artist supporting artist, right?
Mhm.
Like I referenced earlier, punk shows. I remember there was a couple times where like four bands would play, and the audience when you were on was just like the other three bands, right? And so it's like, well, okay, we're doing it for each other here, right? It's artists supporting artists. There's nobody else except the bands, but that's fine. We're still going to do it. So now imagine that was just the case. I mean, we have meanwhile spaces. I I'd call it totally forgotten spaces, right?
All over this country.
We have tons of those here. We could be utilized. They could be mini art museums, and then it's like, okay, now there's like a tour of art museums, or here's an idea I had: get a hold of one of these places and turn it into multiple art studios where the people utilizing it for their to make art showcase it. So it's like every Friday you have a different person who actually works out of this space
Yeah,
doing like an exhibit or
that's
something,
cool.
right? And then it's like tell your friends to tell your friends. And in my town, it's like, what are you guys doing anyway? Come on out, right? And like, you could do, I don't know, day camps, lessons, you could teach people about art. I don't know, there's all kinds. Once you start thinking about it, there's all kinds of ideas, and I think it's worth you know getting people locally
So
to
here's
activate.
an idea. Take a windy day, right? No rain, just wind, if you can believe such a day
We get
exists.
those, yeah.
Oh yeah. And then you print out, you take all your paper art, right? Whatever it is, you print out whatever you got, and you get on your roof and you throw it into the wind. Just see where it
Well, he's
goes.
already up there.
Yeah, well see, you've already got step one completed.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, and
My
see where it
art
goes.
is internet art.
I mean, it's paper. It's not really like littering, don't use
Is it
plastic, just use paper.
Okay.
is it littering if you enter an abandoned place and just put up a bunch of art? Like, how about on the
Probably.
No,
outside?
But that's the thing, that's a badge of honor. Like, oh, I littered.
you littered. Well, it's an interesting topic. I enjoyed it.
I'm going to keep my eye out for more on the topic because I want to
Yeah.
see if anyone else is talking about it. I think it's fascinating. And it's a shame to have such, like, that one guy was a renowned artist and his stuff is in boxes unprotected
Yeah.
That
They
and
shit's
unseen.
gone.
just like I said, replicate that all over. And there is maybe a need for this.
Yeah.
And really, it helps people. I mean, you can't get around how art, you express it as the artist, and the person taking it in is feeling an emotion, and you can really teach that way also. You do through comics.
hmm
I mean, you're obviously eliciting emotions.
Sometimes I not a week goes by that I don't hear, oh, comic book retailers are on the way out. That's not going to be a thing in the near future. My whole life I've been hearing this and they're doing well. You walk into one and they're packed. All kinds of it's because now it's like people my age who love comics have like
They
grandkids.
have kids. So,
Yeah.
if
So
who's saying it? Who's saying it's on its way out? Social media interests
it's
who
always
want to see that on its way out.
it's it more often than not it's people in the industry who are just fearful that it would happen.
Oh,
And
okay.
so they're like, it's going to happen, we need alternatives. And what I the reason I bring it up now is because I'm like, according to the article we just read, that topic that is happening now. There's art being wasted. There's art being unseen. It doesn't have to be world famous for it to be valuable to somebody, and no one's getting a hold of it. They don't even know it's there, and there's no quote unquote vehicle to drive it into the community. So I think that that vehicle needs to exist. And I like the idea of using meanwhile spaces. That's probably just
Yeah,
one idea.
I'm here to recommend, like, we don't wait for anybody. You open that
Yeah.
box and you just start putting stuff up. Like, you don't need a permit. You don't like
Well,
put a, maybe hide your identity, wear a different pair of shoes or something. You never know with those cameras. Just start putting paintings up. See what they do. Like, are they going to arrest you for putting up some like famous guy's paintings or whatever? I mean, if they do, that's a news story. Like,
yeah, but the
Yeah.
weather weary.
Yeah, those shoe cameras are a pain too.
Yeah, all you can see is don't look up.
Well, yeah, I mean, they track people from like what kind of
Yeah.
straps are on their backpack sometimes. Those fucking cops.
Well, that's a whole other show, surveillance.
Well, and
Ooh.
there you go. Like divert resources from whoever has the most to the places that don't have any. And it's like we're clearly on a trajectory in this country of more cops and less art. That's a problem. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think who benefits from that? Cops don't even benefit from that. It's ridiculous.
two
So,
three-letter words. One is so much better, and it starts with an A. Cop,
yep.
art.
Yeah. I mean, alphabetically, they get the first funding.
Yay.
But then there's army. Anyway, let's not do that. Okay, well,
All
I
right.
had fun with this show.
I
Is
wish
it
Jake
over?
had been here. I wish Jake had been here.
I mean, we've been going over
Yeah,
an
Jake
hour.
blew us
So.
off. Who knows why? I don't know why. We can only speculate as to why, like the second episode, and we've already got some motherfuckers fucking around. I mean, I don't know.
speculate technical difficulties.
It
Yeah,
was my
like,
fault.
I mean, if you want to say it's your fault, that's fine. But I was
I
there
take
when we decided.
responsibility.
If you're responsible, then, well, then I don't even know. I don't think you're responsible. I think Jake certainly doesn't give a shit about this show, and I think we should just get a different Jake. So, if anyone out there is named Jake, we're taking applications. That way, we don't need to change, any of the materials. So, if any Jakes out there,
Your old friend
Preferably if
Jake,
you
your old
if you wear a
boy.
suit and tie, that would help.
Yeah.
that would be
Or a
ideal.
sweater.
I think Andrea's known this guy 1 week, and this is just being
Poor
friends
Jake.
with Andrea is like a unique experience.
Is it?
Somebody called into my show the
Oh
other
no.
day,
Oh god.
and
Oh no.
I said, "Yeah, I feel like Andrea Ravinsky's like a really good friend of mine."
Oh.
Now, in saying that,
Oh no.
I admit I don't know if she agrees, but
Sure.
I
If you're
feel
putting
like,
me on the spot, yeah, I
Ah.
guess. Why not?
oh, thanks. See, I was hoping, but I think part of being a friend with somebody sometimes is knowing that they might not think you're friends the way you do. You know what I mean? Those are my favorite people. It's like Matt's a really good friend of mine. I'm over here like,
Really?
not really.
And when you're on social media, you've got hundreds of friends
Yeah, virtual friends. That's like a
Oh,
new
yeah.
category that I redefine every day.
or people writing and you know what? I love that, but 30 to 50 or whatever amount of messages I get a day, I cannot get back to everybody and I love them all, but I can't get back to everybody. It's a lot.
You gotta do the call-in show.
You think?
So you can go, I gave you a chance.
Oh,
It's not my fault.
call-in
You didn't
show.
call in.
Never thought about that for me, a call-in
Yeah, it's
show.
fun.
Yeah, you like
Good
doing
times.
it. How about
I
you,
love it.
Andrea? You think you could handle that?
There's no way in hell I could handle a call-in
I
show.
didn't
It's not.
think so.
Logistics.
Yeah, but
No.
Andrea, you are so good right off the. You know,
It's too much. Like
It's
that's
too
the thing.
much.
I don't want to break the illusion here. I'm not actually that good. It's like,
That's awesome.
Well, thank you, Matt. I'm really happy
Sure.
that you hosted us today. Anybody want to
Yeah.
plug themselves or anything?
Remember,
Know where to
it's
find us.
Wednesday night at 10, so don't plug anything before that.
Right.
well, tonight being Tuesday night at 10, which would be if you're watching this yesterday night at 10, I plan on smoking weed and going to sleep early. So there you go. I
Okay.
thought I would share that with everybody.
That's great.
But I had a new Doom wad that people should play. Can we do
Oh,
a show
cool.
where you play my games one of these days? Just watch the
I'll
boomers
try.
play my
Yeah.
games. That would be
Yeah.
fun.
Great idea. Wow.
It's a Halloween wad. So it's wad is just the file name. So it's just campaign whatever you want to use. It's but it's Halloween, and I made that. It's so go check it out. It's called the Delirium Dimension. And if you
Oh,
Google
cool.
it and put Doom afterward, you might find it. So,
Okay. Nice. What about you, Sandy? What do you got?
Well, okay, this is airing tomorrow, so go back to my channel and watch my show on farming and the Mediterranean and all of the environmental and ecological aspects of the whole Gaza thing, but I'm only putting my spin on it, which you can see. And Friday night, you know, we have a show on the Antarctic and the new research that came out with that. And probably our oceanographer Jim Massa will be with us. So there's my plug. If you're scientifically oriented with a left lean,
Is it
Every,
possible to be scientifically oriented without a left lean?
I don't know. Ask
if
the
you're bought
writers.
off, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're paid for, if you're a former CEO of big oil and then you went into
Yeah.
science, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Halloween oriented call-in show next Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern where I want everyone to call in and give real world experiences with the paranormal. I think
Oh,
that's going
wow.
to be fun.
Okay, I just want to say this now that we broached the subject.
Yeah.
I do not believe in ghosts. It's all
Yeah,
made
me
up.
neither.
Now, I say this with like, I know what people think ghosts are, right? It's the controlled hallucination theory of consciousness, right? You know, if you don't know what that means, basically, your brain is just guessing everything you see. It's the brain's best guess. And so sometimes the brain misunderstands something. That's an optical illusion, right? But if you experience an optical illusion, or like, you know, it could be a auditory illusion, right? And you don't know what that is, and maybe you have a low IQ, you're going to assume it's a ghost. You know, has to be. It can't be that, you know, I just misheard something. It has to be a ghost. I'm an idiot, right? Now, I say this, I wish I believed in ghosts. I've had people tell me, "Oh, my house is haunted." I've slept in their haunted house, never had a ghost.
Right.
You know, um, people have described, oh, there's a ghost. I used to fucking like go around the graveyard at night, like, you know, where the ghost's at. I used to do like little things like that because I
Really?
lived next to a cemetery before. Never seen a ghost. They're not real. And so anyone calling in and giving their experiences with the paranormal next Monday, I'm judging you
So
because you did not
I should have
experience the
said
paranormal.
paranormal. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
Debunking is one of the best parts about it. Like trying to figure out what's really going on is one of my favorite parts. And so to hear the story helps us all get there. But
and it turns out that, you know,
Hey.
it was just the rain, you know, tapping against the gutters, and
Well, Andrea,
you know,
I could have been there
yeah.
today because I literally had something banging on my
yeah. See, what is that? Yes, was there like a fucking?
Nice.
There's a
You have a
bubble that
thumbs
came
up.
out of you. What was that?
How'd you do that?
What
Who
the
had a
fuck?
bubble?
You
gave a
did.
thumbs
I
up.
did?
Do
You
this
gave a
again.
thumbs
Do this
up.
again.
That was some
Ooh, there it is.
paranormal
It
shit.
is. It's paranormal. Well, I have a little
Wait.
paranormal real quick. My
Hold
cat
on. Who did
is
that?
reincarnated.
I did not do that.
How did you
Did you do that? You're
make it happen
running
again?
this. I can't make anything happen again.
How'd
This is a
she
scam?
how would Andrea be able to do that? It was
I
on
don't
your
even know. I don't even have access to that. So
It's here.
Well, I'm looking for the
It's here.
unexplained too. I want people to call and tell me like unexplained stories because I have plenty of those where I'm like, what was that? I don't know. It was a glitch or something. I know. I think those are cool to hear about.
We
But
will be there on Monday for that.
well,
one.
and then Wednesday I'm interviewing Dr. Rashad Ritchie, so
Which
that's
is
going to
great.
be a big one too.
is
And
he
then
really a
Wednesday
doctor?
night, yeah, oh, he has a doctorate. And then Wednesday night we'll be right back here. He's like a physics professor.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, that one. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
I'm like, what direction do I go in with the interview? You know, so I'm just gonna kind of like lay it all out and then see how the conversation goes.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
Great.
so that's what I got going on. And then, as always, tune in to What You Can Do on YouTube with Jake Dragalis because those are fantastic shows, and he's getting back into his regular format after taking time off to work on side projects behind the scenes. So anyway, check that out.
Including
And
taking this time off, the pre-scheduled time that we all four of us agreed upon.
that's well, and you know what else? When we
Oh,
first came up with the idea for Left Past 10, we were like, it's going to be no stress. Sometimes people will be late. Sometimes people won't show up. That's just the way it
I
goes.
just want to say that I am extremely stressed. I have a high heart rate right now. Like if you were to have like those things, you know, the pulse things, it would be like, you know, it'd be like at least 100 on the heart rate. monitor.
Pulse thing. You mean these two fingers?
Yeah, but like it's a monitor, and it tells you.
Oh,
Anyway,
right.
I'm stressed.
I'm not.
Just generally speaking, I'm all stressed. I'm a ball of stress, and this show is making it worse. Now, after
See,
the
now
show
that's
is
sad.
done,
I
I'm going to be
find that
even more
I
stressed.
smile through this whole show, which is not always the thing. And
Sandy,
smiling
you've
is
been
really
great.
good for you.
You've been great.
Yeah, I smile, but it's all fake. I'm just
Oh,
pretending to be.
Andrew.
No,
I'm going to get down to wherever you are one of these days.
no, it'll take a lot of drug use to get where I'm at.
jeez.
Not
Andrea?
mentally. Is that what you meant? Mentally or
Oh,
physically?
no. I mean,
Oh.
I'm literally going to show
Yeah.
up at her door.
Like knock on the door.
No, Andrea, I won't talk to you. I don't even know where I would find you.
I've
That's
done
good.
more.
But I've invited her here.
I've done more drugs than all of us combined, I'm sure.
That's true.
Oh,
But
well,
only
we have
only
to
because
talk
you've
about
you've
that.
been alive longer than me. So
You know what I like to do? Every now and then I write down a story, a personal experience. I make a note of it in this list I have going. And then I think one day, because I did this once on a show with somebody where I said, I'm going to tell you 3 things. One of them's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to tell which one. And they all 3 sound like none of those could be true.
goddamn beyond belief.
So anyway, yeah, beyond belief. We should do a beyond belief segment.
That's a
I'm
good
in.
name for what you're going to do, though, Monday. It's sort of beyond belief. If
Oh,
you're going
yeah.
to get the paranormals. Beyond belief to who, though? Yeah.
Yeah.
I should
To
also
who?
say I am going to do a Halloween special where I review and rank every Saw film. So just throwing that
Well,
out
I'll
there.
watch
I also
that
have
and then
props.
I
Hold
can
up.
skip the
I have
movies.
props. Am I allowed to show this? I have a
Yeah.
saw.
Oh wow, you got it.
So I have
I should bring
props.
my skeleton in, but he's
Jeez.
outside
Yeah.
sitting in the chair in front of my house. He
Who,
drives
your
around
roofer?
with me. No,
Oh.
my skeleton drives around with me in my truck usually in the back seat all the
That's
time.
pretty good.
Yeah, I
Cool.
bought it for a scarecrow and it never came out of the truck because people love looking at it in the back seat.
Like if I
Aw.
ever had a car, and I don't know how to drive, but if I had a car, what I would do is I would get that fake blood and I would just pour it all over the car, like to the point where it creates like a trail, like it drips out of like
Ugh.
whatever. So everywhere I'm driving, there's just blood everywhere. And then the cops interview
Somebody
me,
fund
like, what's
Andrea,
going on?
please.
Like, is that illegal? Like how far can I go
Yeah.
with pretending to be? That's not. It can't be illegal. It's
In
fucking
certain
corn
states,
syrup.
yeah.
Really? It would be illegal to like just have like
Yeah,
paint
it's a
on my car.
distraction. It's a distraction, right? They'll
When
pull
I
you
was
over
in-
for anything. You should know that.
When I was in high school, my long
What if I'm not
government
driving? What if I'm in a parking lot somewhere and I just leave the car there?
Then
and,
it's
and
art.
pour blood?
I
Then
don't
it's
know.
art.
And my long government teacher in Maryland when I was in high school told us all the laws from like the turn of the century that were still active but not upheld. Like you weren't allowed to fornicate with socks on. You couldn't sneeze in public.
Hmm.
Like you can't
Well-
sneeze in public. Why? And they're like, because it would.
Can we
scare
bring that
the-
one back? Like,
would
can we?
scare-
I feel like that one needs to be upheld.
I knew Andrea was going to get.
They thought it would scare horses
Wow.
because there are a lot of horses
Mhm.
around. They're like, just don't sneeze in public, everyone. Horses are trampling people.
Like, where do you? Like, that's the thing. It's like, when I sneeze, I don't know about everyone else. It's like there's like I pulled the pin off the grenade, and it's just like a matter of time before that shit explodes. Like when you
And
feel the inkling, like you just have to like run into a building, like.
I mean, or watch all the horses freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then be fucking wheeled away to jail cell. Like, what are you in for? I sneezed
in
in
the
fucking
land of
public. Can you
horses.
believe it? It's worse than child molestation, really. I mean, honestly, they'll fuck you up in that jail cell if you sneeze in public.
Anyway, my point is it's probably illegal somewhere.
And it should be illegal everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good ending note,
Okay.
considering I just got over it.
This episode's been beyond belief. Thanks, guys. See ya.
I am not thankful in any capacity.